Right, here we are then, guys. We're going out for a bit of a spin today, and today we're on this. This is, as you can tell, a 2022 Ducati Panigale V4 S. The S on this is very important because what that means is the wheels on here are the forged magnesium, not the aluminium. And we've got elastic trickery suspension front and rear. What does all that mean in real world scenarios, I hear you cry? Well, just the suspension and wheels alone saved me 3 minutes on my commute each way. So that's equivalent of about £1,000 a year savings on fuel, which is awesome. Anyway, there's a little quick bit about this then. So 2022 model. I've had this since brand new, so I bought it brand new, and it's been with me now for nearly 4 years. Absolutely great bike. The engine is an 1103 cc 4-cylinder in a VL, depending who you talk to. It's a V4, but Ducati always say that their engines are like an L. But anyway, this is a V4 Desmo Sedici engine. So it's got the Desmodromic valve system in there, 215.5, that's important, brake horsepower. Real world road scenarios like today, all of that is pointless, because look at it. I mean, you're not going to do that sort of, you're not going to need that power, are you, on these sort of roads? But as you can see by the tyres, I do take this to the racetrack. So at least once a year I'll do a track day on this, because, you know, look at it, why wouldn't you? It's just awesome. But anyway, let's jump on board and go for a bit of a spin. We'll do, the more of these videos we'll do more talking about this and my other bike, obviously, because why not? But let's jump on board and let's get cracking. So the real reason for coming out on this one today is because I want to talk about many things, but one of the big things I really want to talk about is external validation, because on my journey that I've been going on recently, external validation has been quite a big thing, really. And I don't want people to think either that I bought this bike just because it says Ducati on it, because it says Panigale, you know, and it's just me waving my dick around. That's not what this is for. I've had many you know, good bikes, and I've had lots of, you know, Japanese bikes. I've had super bikes before, but to be fair, I've always been a fan of Ducati, but never really been able to afford one until, you know, I get old, because it's not just the buying the thing, it's obviously insuring it and all that sort of stuff, which reality, unless you've got a bottomless pit of cash, you know, even when I first bought this at 46 years old, it was over £1,000 to insure it. It's not cheap. When I was 16, you know, I saw the 888, I think it was the SP4, the SP5, and I was blown away by it. I just thought, oh, listen to it, look at it, it just looked and sounded amazing. Then the 916 came out, and the 916 even now is right up there as one of my favourite bikes of all time, just amazing. So I've always wanted a Ducati, and like I say, now I'm old enough that I can actually afford to own one. But I'm still young enough that I can actually get my leg over it, and my brain is still young enough that I can still enjoy it. Like I said, you know, I would do track days on this. I'm not just gonna buy it because it looks nice in a car park or at a bike night. I bought this because I wanted to use it for what it is. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not Marc Marquez, you know, this is clear, but I use it as well as I can, and it's a truly amazing bike. But the one thing it does do for me is it helps me with my external validation needs. And what is external validation? Quite simply is, and I'm going to try and put this in the simplest terms I can, external validation is where you measure yourself and your happiness based on others' reactions or others' input. So for example, and a prime example is taking something like this to a bike night. Whether you like Ducatis or not is by the by. It could be, you know, whatever bike it is that suits the purpose, but you know, a bike like this does turn heads. People see it, they hear it coming, they will turn heads, they will talk to you about it, they will ask about it, and it makes me feel good when they're paying that much attention. They're giving me what I crave, which is that validation. And this isn't just ego talking. This isn't just me saying, you know, love me, I'm important, look at me, I've got a big superbike. That's not what this is about. The external validation for me has always been there. It's been a part of my life, it's been a part of my existence for many, many years, ever since I can remember, because I spent most of my youth, most of my childhood being ignored, being pushed around, being picked on, being bullied, you know, that sort of thing. I've got an older brother who spent most of his existence stealing from me or just picking on me because he was bigger than me. So I was always made to feel, you know, less than what I should have. Unloved, unwanted. I know it's a bit of a sob story, but go with it, bear with it. It's a journey of healing. I'm trying to see what that bike is up ahead actually. Anyway, in true style of these videos, I have completely forgotten to tell you what we're up to today. So we are off on the Ducati, as we've seen that, and we are off to the Touchdown Cafe just outside of Wellesbourne for a cappuccino, if they do them. I think they do cappuccinos there, and to get another stamp on my bike and brew passport. That's what we're up to. And although it looks lovely and sunny, it is actually a very nice day, I've got to be honest. But it is deceptively chilly out here. It's only about 10 degrees. I was torn between wearing the leathers or putting the winter kit on. So I can just feel a light bit of a nip in the air, but you know, it's not too bad. So yeah, anyway, my external need for people to like me manifested in, you know, buying things. I would, you know, excessively purchase stuff even though I couldn't afford it. And not necessarily what I'm sitting on now, although this was a heart purchase, this wasn't a brain purchase at all. But then, you know, look at it. Anyway, yeah, so I'd buy loads of stuff because I would use material objects to validate my worth. Be like, look how important I am because I've got 10,000 CDs, I've got a PlayStation, all that, you know, all that sort of stuff growing up. The stuff that made me feel really important. It's a Ducati Monster SP is what it is, for those that haven't already picked up on that. And I got myself heavily into debt because I'd be buying all sorts of stuff that I didn't need, you know, cars, bikes, anything that would make me feel happy, make me feel good inside. Just that moment, that rush of buying something to feel like, you know, I've achieved something. All my achievements were measured by the material things that I had. And when I met my now wife and we had children and all that, the materialistic stuff needed to stop. And I think this is all part of the build-up for the 2022 crash that I had mentally, because the materialistic things stopped being purchased because I've now, you know, mortgage, wife, kids, all that sort of stuff. I wasn't getting the validation from anywhere. You know, I just not felt bad because I was happily married, got children who, you know, I love dearly, but I wasn't getting what I needed. So I think that was part of the crash that I had. So what does it feel like? Well, it's a difficult one because you don't really notice. Oh, I suppose you do actually. So there are moments where I might be sat around and I'll suddenly think about getting a new phone. Even now, I'll think about getting a new phone, or I might think about you know, changing this bike for like the new one, because the new one just looks like, oh my god, amazing. So there are moments where you'll sit there and you'll feel that moment of happiness because you've bought something new. You feel like you've achieved something. There's that sense of achievement that you don't get every single day. You know, a lot of people probably get their achievement from their work. The guy in front of me here is probably getting his fulfillment from riding his bike that he probably saved up loads of time, and I should feel the same, but I don't. I constantly need to have it hit me. I need the whatever chemical the body releases when you buy something, or when somebody walks over to you and says, oh my god, that bike's amazing. You're like, oh yeah, I feel good, thanks, you know. But deep down, it's a horrible thing to have, because as people we should be able to be happy and proud of the things that we're doing without the need of others to tell us that. You know, you look at me as a person, I don't consider myself a bad person. I work hard for my wife and kids so that we can keep the house we've got. I don't cheat, I'm not a cheater. I spend time with my children, I'll bring them breakfast in bed. If I'm out and about, I see people, I'll be nice and polite and kind and helpful as much as I can be. You know, I'm not a bad person, I'm not an evil person. But for some reason it's not enough. I spent so much of my life being told or made to feel like I was nothing that I genuinely believe it now. If you're told something enough, you'll believe it. If somebody kept saying to you, if you were a world-class bodybuilder and somebody kept saying to you, you're fat, you're fat, you're fat, eventually you're going to start thinking you are. You're going to believe that you're fat, even though you're not. You probably got 1% body fat, you're ripped and you're winning competitions, but it doesn't matter because people are telling you what they want to tell you. And people will generally only do to you what they feel. They will express their insecurities on you, and they win when you lose. So somebody telling you you're fat and you believing that you're now fat, that's a win for them, because they pulled you down to their level. They now feel better because they've made you feel bad. It's horrible but true. And I guess it's easy to let that stuff get to you. I know I did. And I'd then project it onto others. Somebody'd make me feel bad, I'd project that onto somebody else. So I now feel bad, so, you know, why wouldn't I? They've put it onto me, why wouldn't I put it onto somebody else? Let me get rid of it. And I'll get rid of it by making that person feel bad. Before you know it, you've got a cycle going on of people just being unnecessarily mean to each other, but not actually gaining anything from it. Because when you look deep down, you're just a bit of an arsehole, really. And nobody likes that guy. And because nobody likes that guy, you're then disliked. And because you're disliked, you now feel bad. Because you feel bad, you're going to project that onto somebody. And it just keeps going and going. It's horrible. And we'll talk in a bit. So once we get to the coffee place, hopefully there'll be some planes going up and down. But once we head back, we'll talk about, you know, things that we can do, things that we can think about that might help. So you think one of the most common places that you'll do what I'm talking about. Just think of the one place that nearly everybody will actually do what I'm actually saying, which is to offset how you feel onto others. And the prime example is exactly where we are now. It's road rage. So much road rage, I think, is just caused because people are so short-tempered, they're so entitled, but also, you know, I don't know, they've got a point to prove. People have got a point to prove, so constantly having a go at each other. I had a scenario yesterday when I was out on the R3. There's a van driver pulled out in front of me. The video's been uploaded by now, and you may have already seen it. And instead of having a go at him, it was disappointing, don't get me wrong, because, yeah, I could have had a crash, but I was paying attention, so I didn't. And the reality is I didn't help the matter myself because of where I was sat on the road. I'd effectively sat myself behind this estate car, so he didn't really see me. Now, yes, granted, he should have waited until he was absolutely sure the road was clear behind that car before he pulled out, but he didn't. But because I was predicting what he was doing and reacted accordingly, I managed to stop, not hit him. He put his hand up to apologise. I then rode off without having to F and Jeff at him or anything. You know, all was well. But in most cases, that could have escalated into a massive argument with people effing and jeffing and boxing each other in and thumping cars. And, you know, if you've got your family with your kids in the car, it's, especially with children as well, you shouldn't behave like that in front of children because they see that and they think that's how you're supposed to behave. You know, whatever you do in front of your children, they will grow up thinking that that's normal. If you're drinking copious amounts of alcohol and then arguing with the wife or beating her up or having road rage, having a skinful of beers and getting in the car, they'll think that's normal. And all you're doing is you're breeding the next level of yourself. And if you are that sort of person, quite frankly, mate, we don't need people like you in the world. It doesn't hurt to be nice, it doesn't hurt to be pleasant to people. You know, like now I could quite easily get grumpy because we're doing 25 in a 50, but you know, these people in front of me, they know what they're doing, they've got their reasons for travelling this slowly, they may not know where they're going, nervous drivers, you know, whatever. So literally over the past couple of weeks, I was looking to get rid of this lovely beauty. And I was actually going to part exit for a CBR 600RR, the new one. The main reason for doing it was just finances, because this isn't cheap to run. It is lovely, it's not like I can't necessarily afford it, but it would have been cheaper to get the CBR. one of the main things that was holding me back was the fact of I didn't want to have to pull into a bike night or a biker cafe or whatever on a CBR that wouldn't necessarily turn heads when I've got something like this. Even now, with all the therapy I've been through and desperately trying to help myself and be better, even now I still struggle. And my FOMO, my fear of missing out, of not owning this bike would be, I used to own a Panigale V4S, you know. Anyway, more about this in a bit. We are now at the Touchdown Cafe, so I'm going to go in, get myself a cappuccino, watch some planes coming in and out, sit and chill out, have a nice relax. I'm going to park next to this nice Z, and I'll see you guys in a bit. Well, you're never going to believe it, guys, but I forgot to turn the bloody microphone on when I left the cafe. So I'm going to have to take a little detour just to try and sum up, which I've already done, but you missed it. So, what is external validation? Quite simply, it's the need to rely on others or inanimate objects for your happiness. That's basically what it is. To a point we all do it. It exists, but what can we do about it? The easiest thing to say is just don't rely on others, but it's not that simple, because there's a reason, there's a deep down reason why we feel the way we feel. And it doesn't matter what that reason necessarily is, but the fact that it exists is something that we need to, well, do we need to? I don't know, that's up to you. But it's something that we should, you know, if you've identified it, we should look at it. I'm not saying this right at all because I'm trying to make it sound like a therapy session. It's not. I'm trying to help. So all my life I was pushed out, as I've mentioned at the start of the video. I was pushed to one side, I was picked on, I was passed from pillar to post, and it made me feel like I wasn't needed. It made me feel like I wasn't wanted, and it made me constantly unhappy. That's where my need came from. Oh, and by the way, if you notice, my microphone is now up here because the sticker that was holding it inside my mouthpiece down here has now failed. So the only thing I can do is clip it to that. So now all I can see is a big furry microphone. But anyway, I shall fix that when I get home. Yeah, so being pushed from pillar to post made me feel like I wasn't worth anything, made me feel like I wasn't needed, unloved, unliked, all the cliches. And that's why I now rely on external validation for anything to make me feel happy, to feel a little bit of happiness. So what do I do now? If I feel like I want to go out and buy something, or if I feel like it's important to me that I own a bike like this because of the way that people react around it, that makes me feel good, I now do a stop and a check. My stop and a check comes from a saying that I once heard that I think is brilliant, which is your reality is someone else's dream. And what that basically means is there's somebody out there that right now looks at me and thinks, my God, I wish I had what he had, or my God, I wish I was like him. Because what you see on the face of it is not really what the reality is. Now, that doesn't make me feel good knowing that there's somebody out there desperately wanting to be me or have my stuff. That's not the point. The point is it's easy to look elsewhere for happiness and not realise that that person could actually have a better life than I'll ever have. but they don't realise it. So take a step back, look at what you've actually got, reality check, really look at what you've actually got. You know, your home, your family, your friends, not the materialistic things, but the stuff that genuinely means something. And if you still feel like you need that external validation, go and talk to one of those people. Go and confide in one of those people and just say, you know what, I'm not feeling too good, I feel like I need a bit of validation. And if they love you, they'll tell you that. That's all you need to hear. That's all you need to know, is that somebody somewhere out there is thinking about you and they care. Because that's the important stuff. Not shit like this. Not the bike. Not the money. Not the stature. Not how many diamonds you've got, or how much money you've got, or the fact that you drive a Porsche, you've got a big mansion. None of that matters. The stuff that matters are the people around you and how they make you feel because of their love for you, not their jealousy. Anyway, I've rambled on a bit. Like I say, these aren't supposed to be a therapy session, but I feel like that one kind of was. It's not supposed to be. I'm not a therapist or anything like that. I'm just trying to explain how I feel, explain what's happened to me and how I kind of deal with it, and hopefully you might take something from it. But I feel like I've waffled on a load and forgot to turn my microphone on. I'll probably get back and realise I haven't turned my cameras on. Dear. Anyway, if you've got this far, thanks guys for watching. Please like and subscribe, it'll help me out no end. It helps my external validation. But yeah, cheers guys, and see you on the next one. Toodles.